Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I am your host, Mike Barra in Las Vegas, Nevada, joined as I always am by the usual crew of epic studly males, starting with the man to my immediate right, the most studly of the studly, Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, how you doing? How was your week? What's going on with the house, and what are you drinking?
Oh, doing fantastic. Grass is growing in the half acre in the backyard. It's looking really good. We built the LS motor part of the way for the RX-7 project. It's starting to look pretty good. And I'm drinking coffee tonight. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the pics of you assembling the RX-7 with the new engine. So I don't know if it can really be an RX-7 without a rotary engine, but what the hell. All right, the man immediately beneath Dr. Brooks Agnew on the Hollywood Squares layout here is Steve Doran, the trail boss. Not a doctor, just a fucking trained stone cold killer. Steve Doran, the trail boss, somewhere in nowhere, Fuckville, Arkansas. Steve, how you doing? How's your week going? You're looking good, buddy.
Well, things are going good. I spent my day with two old friends, and they were hammering the beer pretty heavy, so I decided to have a few myself, and I don't even drink beer.
You decided to join them. Well, good for
I
you.
just decided to join them.
Well, that's excellent. And, of course, the final member of the group, the guy who takes the most abuse because he's the best looking and the owner of the finest strip club in Nashville, Tennessee, the Lickety Split, the owner, proprietor, and guardian of the ladies at the Lickety Split, TV's Blake Wally. How you doing, Blake? What are you drinking? What's going on in Tennessee this week?
Greetings. Yes, great to be here as always. I'm doing well. Yeah, the party is going to start a little bit later. So as you can see, the Neon Lounge, which is really cranking later, but quiet so far. But I'm going to be drinking a little. This is Steve's special rye whiskey. This is fantastic stuff.
Wow.
I just had a friend in town last week, and he was like, wow, this is really special stuff.
Pour some of my coffee here.
Yeah. Did Steve brew that in his hillbilly Arkansas still? Did Steve brew that in his hillbilly Arkansas still? Is that what he did?
That's been
or put a label on it.
That's been aging in oak barrels for like 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Very nice. Very nice. So
gonna plan a trip
not
out
only
there.
that, we need to mention that Blake Wally is also the son of a very famous individual, one of the coolest guys on the planet, Bob, which you'll be hopefully hearing more of in the future.
We shall see. But did you also know that my cousin was Deborah Wally, who was Gidget? My great uncle Nate was friends with
from 1950s TV. Probably still see her on MeTV or
that's cool.
Heroes and Icons channel. That's pretty awesome.
Gidget was my first crush.
The original Gidget.
Shit. Wow.
Penny Robinson.
Moondoggy.
Can you hook him up, Blake?
She was a great lady. She was a cool hippie, lived in Sedona. Unfortunately, she passed away like over 25 years ago, a long time ago. But she was great, very interesting person. Cool part of the family. So
yeah, it's always fun to talk to people that have been in the business and get stories from them. I know I have some friends that know Angie Dickinson, and I hear some great stories from her. She's still with us, believe it or not. The woman that Ronald Reagan bitch slapped in The Killers in 1963 and actually slept with President Kennedy and once referred to it as the most exciting 26 seconds of my life. All right.
Even eggs take 3 minutes.
I cannot contain my anger. We are living in a judicial oligarchy, and some people need to be put up against the wall and have rifle shells put through their skulls, and they are mostly on the Supreme Court today. The Supreme Court made a couple of the most ridiculous rulings you could possibly make in the last 2 days, led by the libtard bitch Amy Coney Barrett, who you have to blame Donald Trump for nominating to the court. This bitch is totally sided with the Democrats on every significant major issue. Today's issue was the worst. It's the birthright citizenship issue. Basically what she and Roberts and other traitors on the Supreme Court, you expect Kagan to be a traitor. You expect Sotomayor to be a traitor. You expect Ketanji Pedo Brown to be a traitor. But, Roberts and Barrett should have held the line. They did not. And now, apparently, it's okay with the Supreme Court pending some other possible legislation for a pregnant woman from Bolivia, for instance, to fly to the United States in her 9th month of pregnancy, drop a kid, that kid becomes a citizen. That kid doesn't even have to live in the U.S., and he can vote in all of our elections in perpetuity. Fuck you. Let's hear what Donald Trump had to say about this ridiculous decision, which I have to say he bears a lot of responsibility for. Here's what he said.
And I'm going.
You're going to go to the Supreme Court
I think
tomorrow?
so. I do believe
And
it.
just sit there and listen.
Because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires or billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War. And if you take a look at when it was filed, all of this legislation, all of this, everything having to do with birthright citizenship, it was at the end of the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves and the protection of the babies of slaves. It didn't have to do with the protection of multi-millionaires and billionaires wanting to have their children get an American citizenship. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's been so badly handled by legal people over the years. If you look.
Okay, so Trump said that, and then Molly Hemingway explained on Fox News why this is going to be a catastrophe
of the country. This is an absolutely important and devastatingly bad decision for the future of the country. This decision that John Roberts authored is bad on the level of Dred Scott or Roe v. Wade. It's that bad. Previously, we had a policy of saying if you have parents who are here illegally and you're born here, you might be considered a citizen. But today is the first day that the Supreme Court has ever said that's a constitutional right. Justice Alito had an excellent dissent as well. He said he thinks this was a very important decision and very wrongly decided. He goes through in an originalist manner, meaning what was the original meaning of the 14th Amendment, and looks at how this Roberts decision came to its reasoning. And it's frankly pretty absurd. Justice Thomas also did a great job. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says you can't deny citizenship on the basis of race. That's what it was for. There were people who were trying to deny citizenship to children of formerly enslaved people. And that's what the 14th Amendment was for. It was never saying you don't get to have any say in who's a citizen. And you look at how it's not just this case. It's so many things. Anything that Americans try to do to restore their borders, to determine who gets to come here. You have rogue lower court judges just throwing it out and saying, you don't get to say. This cuts to the issue of sovereignty, who we are as a people, whether we will even exist in a few decades. So this is a very important decision. And unfortunately, for an otherwise pretty good term, a really bad end to that.
Can I add one thing to that?
Okay, so this basically is an attempt to destroy the United States of America by these judges who know full well what they're doing. They know full well the implications. There used to be a time in this country when judges had enough integrity to say, well, maybe technically, according to the words in the law, this is okay, but in reality, it will damage our country and we can't allow it to stand. They used to make judgments like that. They don't anymore. Brooks, it's time. Look, it's time to take a whole bunch of black robe deities out, line them up against the wall, and put bullets in their brains. That's the bottom line.
It isn't the end of the game. There are a couple things that can be done. First of all, President Trump could direct the State Department to deny visas to any pregnant woman. Any foreign pregnant woman, you cannot get a visa if you're pregnant and come to the United States. The second thing that can happen is a little more radical. It takes a lot more work, and that's to have the damn Convention of States. That's when the states get together, they amend the Constitution, and the Supreme Court can't do anything about it.
But the thing is, you don't even need to amend the Constitution. I mean, look at when this amendment was proposed in the 1800s at the 14th Amendment. This is what the author of it literally said. He said, "This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of persons. It settles the great question of citizenship and removes all doubt as to what persons are or are not citizens of the United States. This has long been a great desideratum in the jurisprudence and legislation of this country." I forget who the author of this was, but the bottom line is he says no aliens and no foreigners, and yet, Steve Doran, here we are with these fucking judges who maybe not. Let's not shoot them. That's too quick. Let's hang them slowly and put it on paper.
Well, it's getting ridiculous that the judges are actually legislating law. The law has been changed several times on immigration since the beginning. Mm-hmm. Whenever someone is stopped at the border, there's all these different things that the immigration officials have to go through, because there were times in the United States where the law was very clear that if you were born in the United States, you were not born of United States citizens, you were not a United States citizen. The Senate and Congress could pass laws and go back to that very easily. So it's something that can be corrected, but you're not going to get the Democrats to go along with it. The Republicans are going to not go along with it because they're going to say, well, the Supreme Court has spoken, and now it's the rule of law, which is baloney because the law can easily be changed.
Well, the thing is, too, the law is not what some fucking judge says it is. The law is right. The president, the Congress, and the judiciary agree that it is. So we do not have an agreement right now. So, all right, Brooks, one question for you.
Well, okay.
And they still, it's confusing. Some people say, Kavanaugh wrote in his dissent, he said that basically if you go pass a law that you can't have birthright citizenship, then that's acceptable. But what will, first of all, good luck getting this Congress, which is basically stopping. This Congress wants the invasion of the United States by these fucking third world shithole members. Is there anything besides, this is a ruling on an executive order, but the executive order was completely valid and should have stood. Is there any chance we're going to get anything passed in Congress about this?
Well, there is a possibility, because when it comes to Article 2 in the Constitution, the president, and only the president, has the authority to determine who comes in the country and who doesn't. And all he has to do is rule, okay, fine, then no pregnant women get visas. You can't come into the country if you're pregnant. And if you become pregnant and you're a visitor here on a student visa or a work visa, you're deported automatically.
All right. Blake, I haven't gotten your opinion yet, and I promise we're not going to beat up on you if you say something silly.
Go ahead. No,
Go ahead.
I enjoy
Floor
squirming
is yours,
on a hot seat. I like it. But all good. Yeah, the Supreme Court this is a disastrous decision. Fortunately, Tom. Well, I'll say fortunate because there's nothing we can do. But at least Thomas illustrated. Yeah, there's a 91-page dissent, and he's saying that this was, the reason they came up with this was back during the slave days, and these people had no country to go to. So that's not the case with these other people. They'd come in, the birther tourism, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
They're maybe in the, just here long enough to be born, and then all of a sudden they get, all the welfare and all the benefits. That's not the way it was designed to work. And he pointed that out. That's a solution that they had at that time, because what could you do with these poor people that had no home to go back to? So that's going to be an issue. I don't know what to do about fixing this. Disappointed with a lot of these things. And especially with Thomas or I already forgot the name of the other lady that Trump appointed. So it's like the destruction of the republic. And I don't know how we're going to turn this one around. I'm not the legal expert here, but I think it's time to have it resolve. We have to change some things. Maybe have another sort of continental Congress. Maybe come to dissolve the federal government, or do we come up with a parallel system? Because it seems like this one is not working anymore, and we might have to come up with something better.
Well, maybe they need to apply a little pressure, like Carolyn Levitt said today. The Amy Cornhole Barrett has been corrupted or maybe compromised. And if that could be proven, she could be impeached.
Come on. John Thune is going to impeach Amy Coney Barrett? You got to be kidding me.
John Thune was censored in his own state.
There's only one way this ends, and that is at the point of a gun from the United States military coming in and killing all these people. And that's what has to happen. And frankly, I got a question for you guys. Do you think that the Supreme Court and the Congress are trying to provoke Donald Trump into doing exactly that? Steve?
You're going to have to say it again. I didn't hear it.
Do you think that the Supreme Court and the Congress of the United States are trying to provoke Donald Trump into declaring a national emergency and using the military to restore the republic?
Well, I don't think that, because they want it to continue as it is. They want to continue to have illegals come into this country. They want to continue to pay money to them out of the working American citizens' pocket. They want to continue to import these people because it puts money in their pocket. And so, no, they don't want him to do anything to stop it, in my opinion.
Blake, what are your thoughts on the possibility that they want to have the military intervention to come in and arrest everybody in the government so they can try to impeach him for it? What do you think?
I wish I could believe that Trump would actually do something like that. So I don't know if they're trying to bait him into anything. I think this is the deep state. They own us, and there's nothing that we can do about it anymore. And I don't even know if I trust Trump to save anything, even if you could. Unfortunately.
Well,
so
at this point,
the people have spoken, though. There was a movie that came out. It was pay-per-view. It started out pay-per-view, and then it was put on X, and everybody could watch it for free. It's called Citizen Vigilante. Mm-hmm. And the people have spoken. This thing has been viewed like 30 million times, even in Germany where it was banned. And it is basically saying what Mike's saying, except citizens stand up and take back their territory by
I
force.
think that's where we're at, but of course we don't want to get on the FBI's radar for being domestic terrorists, because we want our democracy and our republic.
We're commenting on a movie, that's all.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a movie.
No civilization has lasted longer than 250 years. The Roman Empire. Yeah. So, here it is. It's the birthday week of our country, and we have traitors everywhere at every level of our government. Joseph McCarthy told us the truth, and he was right about everything. We have to, at this point, say McCarthy was correct about literally everything he said, and everything he did was justified. And now what are we going to do with this mess? That becomes a big problem, because they didn't stop there. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, what was Dred Scott? What was it? It was a Supreme Court decision. Supreme Court makes bad decisions all the time, and this will get overturned.
I don't know when. I don't see how.
It just
and
takes the
I
right
think it only-
lawsuit. It takes
I
the
think-
right lawsuit to go up the chain and get to the Supreme Court, and then they'll make the right decision.
Not with these judges in place.
You may
Not
be
with
right.
Amy Coney Barrett. Not with Brett Kavanaugh, who's weak as fuck. Not with John Roberts, who's a deep state communist. Not with Barrett and Sotomayor and Ketanji Pedo Brown Jackson. That's not going to fucking happen, Brooks.
Otto Penn Jackson.
You have to get Roberts and Barrett to rule with the people with brains. They never do that. They've only done it once on Roe versus Wade, and there probably was a reason for that. So I don't know.
Well, like I said, Congress can do something about it. This is in the president's wheelhouse. He could just say, fine, no more visas to pregnant women. And that's it. And it's his rule. He gets to determine who comes in the country and who doesn't. Now,
that's what he should do.
He mentioned the Chinese billionaires. There's not a whole lot you can do there, because what these Chinese billionaires are doing is they're impregnating their wives, and then they're taking the zygote and implanting it in an American womb.
Mm-hmm.
And then that woman carries that baby to term and gives birth to it. So the law, Congress needs to write a law that says if you give birth to a baby that's genetically not yours, that baby cannot be a U.S. citizen. Just narrow it down.
I say close the border, no more immigration, period, for 25
You could do that.
We don't need it. No more immigration. Pay people $25,000 for an American citizen to have an American baby with another American. $25,000, right? To hell, pay them $250,000. Let's just print the money and pay everybody who has a baby that's American, especially, and give them an extra $50,000 if they're white people. Sorry.
Well, he could do that now. He could just close the borders and have a 20-year moratorium on visas. That's it.
That's and I mean, the only visa you can get is a tourist visa, and if you happen to have a kid when you're here, he ain't a citizen. Just make it that simple, and no pregnant women get admitted into the country. That's the only way it's going to happen. Guys, that would be really nice if you like the show, if you would like and subscribe and Rumble Rant and Super Chat. I have to pay these guys. I have to give them Christmas presents. So
$50.
This is the best roundtable on the internet. You won't hear this anywhere else.
Yep.
And if I leave, they're going to go to Wednesday, and it's going to be weak ass Wednesday. So that's right.
Yes, it's Steve that makes it toxically masculine. Although I'm catching up to you tonight, I got a lot of testosterone.
Actually, you are. You're actually. I'm just sitting here in amazement.
All right. Another couple of rulings this week, that one of which was okay, one of which was disastrous. But basically, the Supreme Court did actually have one good ruling this week. They ruled the obvious, which is that the chief executive has power, unlimited power over the executive branch. Now, there is a case where Donald Trump wanted to fire a woman named Lisa Cook or block her from being appointed to the Federal Reserve because she's a criminal. She's committed criminal acts. She's committed fraud. But basically, the Cook lawsuit having to do with her suitability and sitting on the board of the Federal Reserve was sent back by the Supreme Court on a strictly procedural basis. We will take appropriate action, but as part of the ruling that they had to go back and review this Lisa Cook case, they also included, Brooks, something really interesting, which is that the president apparently can fire anybody that works in the executive branch. Is that the correct way to interpret it?
That is exactly right. Every agency, department, bureau, and administration works for him, part of the executive branch. And he now has the constitutional authority to fire any head. This is very important because the senior executive service was supposedly insulated from being fired. These are former campaign heads, former speakers. They know what's best for the party, and they're unfireable. President Trump tried to get rid of some, couldn't do it. He cut their salary to $1 a year, and they didn't quit because the salary was just pennies compared
because they were
to what
getting
they
paid
were
by the
making.
Democrats behind the scenes to block Trump's policies.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
so
why.
now he can fire them.
All right, so that's a good thing. Blake, do you feel good about the idea that the president can fire anybody in the executive branch? Like we needed the fucking Supreme Court to tell us that.
Yeah, exactly. So he's ruled on common sense. Yeah, that's his department. He should know, and yeah, that's exactly what he should be doing. We should trust him to be in that position, and that's that's something that he's been doing forever as a CEO of major corporations and now the government. So yeah, for that, they also had another ruling, I think, on the gender dysphoria that men cannot be in women's sports. That was another common sense one, but they fumbled everything else.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting, though, that, every president, Clinton on forward, the first thing they do when they come in is fire all the U.S. attorneys. All the U.S. attorneys are fired. And then they rehire U.S. attorneys that go along with their policies, like Obama did, Biden did. Trump is the only president in 40 years that has not fired all the U.S. attorneys. He decides to work within the law. And of course, he's paid the price for it. Absolutely. 78 major judgments against him from rogue judges.
Yeah. Well, and I would, I mean, there are some other issues. Thank you, Laura. Can always count on Laura to give us a little contribution.
Yay.
Can I get a table dance from one of you totally masculine gents? I nominate Blake for that.
I am.
Blake.
Can be
Blake knows how to do
but-
knows how to do a table dance because he owns the lickety split. Steve,
I don't know. I put him up for sale when he came to Arkansas, and I didn't get any bidders, so I don't know. He might be losing his charisma. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Steve, do you YouTube is streaming commercials during my live stream. We'll have to fix that.
Wow.
Steve, do you have any feelings about the president being allowed to fire people in the executive branch, or do you think he's just not going to do it? I mean, I think he's only going to hire a few people.
You can only hope, but presidents from the beginning of time have been doing it. Nixon even did it during Watergate.
Oh yeah.
To his demise, because everybody said, "Oh, you fired the guy, so he couldn't come after you." So I mean, it's been going on since the presidency, since the beginning of the presidency.
Yeah.
So yeah, he should do it, and he should have the power to do it because all of those people work for him.
And Steve's exactly right. It was William Ruckelshaus who was the first head of the EPA, by the way. What happened was Nixon made him the attorney general. And when the attorney general was going to investigate Nixon, he fired him. And that's where it kind of all came unglued.
Yeah. Well, there was other issues involved there, like Jackie Gleason and aliens, but on Nixon's side. But, the reality is we're in a situation now where, we can only hope. Bill Pulte supposedly has gone in. He hasn't really fired anybody yet that I know of, but he's talked about firing, I think he needs to fire.
He has actually tried to fire a few, and they stopped him.
Yeah.
Apparently, the authority exists, and he can fire. He needs to. If I was Trump, I would fire 80% of the intelligence community, NSA, CIA, DARPA. Fire 80% of them tomorrow, randomly. Fire all the deputy directors, all the directors, all the top brass, and then fire 80% of the rest of the employees and say, okay, let's figure out
the lawsuit was actually about the federal union, because the federal union protected all these people. They were unfireable. They had tenure. And what Trump said is the union can't protect them. They're federal employees. I'm the CEO. You're fired. Well, that's what the lawsuit was over. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court said, no, actually, he's the CEO.
Yeah. And they did make a ruling this week, as Blake said, on the fact that, yes, men cannot compete in women's sports, that a man is somebody with a penis and who has a Y chromosome?
It's like, yeah, people with gender dysphoria thinking they're a different sex are not just allowed to compete in that sex. Right.
So those, that may not be a final ruling.
I think it's for states. Yeah. It said that states have the right to do it.
States have the right to do it. So,
well, we know
New York
along with it already.
Yeah. So, all right. But there was another disastrous ruling this week by the Supreme Court, which shows that they're all traitors and they deserve to be put up against the wall. And that ruling was that basically they said you can keep counting votes for up to 5 days after an election, that come in that were not delivered on election day, which is pure fucking insanity. According to Donald Trump, in light of the tremendous loss in the Supreme Court today concerning voters' rights and the fact that people's votes are allowed to be people's, in quotations, are allowed to be counted long after an election is over, it is more important than ever to pass the Save America Act, which is all voters must show photo ID, all voters must show proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel. There is no excuse for a politician or to be against the above three requirements. There is only one reason to oppose, and that is cheating. The House of Representatives has approved this vital act 3 times. The United States Senate seems unable to do so in a time where there is a powerful communist movement taking place in our country. No shit, mainly in the Supreme Court. One more dangerous than World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or September 11th. All Democrats and our 5 Republican Senate holdouts, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Tom Tillis, Bill Cassidy, and Mitch McConnell must vote to save our country. There can be no more excuses. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Basically, Brooks, what they ruled is that as long as the ballot is postmarked on election day, you can count it even if you don't receive it until 5 days after the fucking election. And you know what they're going to do? The Democrats are going to be sitting out there. They're just going to print up postmark stamps, and they're going to be stamping 1 million votes for 5 days to steal election after election, just like they do it now.
But see, the mail-in ballots don't come through the mail. They come through drop boxes. That's not postal. They just go pick them up and bring them in. Now, if the person writes on that ballot, oh, I filled it out October 31st, that's what they have to go by. There's no official postmark on 90% of the mail-in ballots, especially in states like Washington and California, New York. Mail-in ballots don't come through the mail.
Yeah, but the U.S. Post Office has basically said that they are going to be really diligent on this, but I don't think it matters.
Well, that's for mail out. That's for mailing out the ballot. You have to have check the voter rolls against what's being mailed out, or they won't mail them. But I'm talking about the ballots that come in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 days after the election. They're printed by artificial intelligence, counterfeit, and they're brought into the counting station. They never see a mailbox.
Right, because what this does now is it puts the burden on the people that are trying to get elected fairly to prove that a stamp is fake. And, you know, these states, it's all set up to steal elections. Everything is set up. So basically, the Supreme Court ruled this week that it's okay to steal elections and it's okay to import foreign invaders under the guise of birthright citizenship.
What this is doing, and you read Donald Trump's statement, he mentioned World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, all that stuff. What this is setting up is that declaration of a state of emergency because our election infrastructure has been attacked by a foreign country. He can do that. He has the authority to do that, and no court in the land can stop him. It's an Article 2 power.
Okay, Steve, any thoughts on this particular ruling? Is there any other way to look at this other than the Supreme Court is trying to help Democrats steal elections?
I mean, that's completely what it is.
Absolutely.
Let's face reality. There's no reason to allow any votes in after the deadline. If the deadline is midnight on a particular night, that's it. No more votes come in. No more votes are counted. It totally sets the stage for election fraud. It should not be allowed in any state at any time. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Blake, any particular thoughts on this matter?
No, I was going to agree with you guys. This is insane. This is outrageous. Trump laid it out. That's common sense. Show up, have an ID. There are exceptions for mail-in ballots, but rare. And it should be like something that can barely affect anything. And maybe it's, a day or two. And Brooks is right. It should be like it should be signed off, and they should be very particular about where it comes from and do the signatures match, have some integrity for everybody. But yeah, I think we've given up, and the public is gone. And I don't know if Trump or the military
order the National Guard to go collect and destroy all the drop boxes in every town.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Susan. I'm glad you missed the first part of the show because I was not fit company to be around. I'm glad you. Don't go back and watch it. It's not.
Susan, you might want to plug your ears. Mike is getting extremely graphic and is even offending the rest of us.
I've even offended Steve. Well, okay. So the only hope that this could be changed, any of this could be changed, is if the Save America Act had provisions added to it and if they passed it. Now, they're right around 50 votes, 51 votes. President Trump mentioned a list of possible people who could be pressured, perhaps, into voting the right way. But the first thing that has to happen is you have to crack the 60-vote filibuster. You have to nuke the filibuster and have a regular talking filibuster, which just, eventually breaks down. And then you have a vote, and you only need 51 votes to pass the Save America Act. And on that subject, Tim Burchett, one of our favorite representatives, Tim, get me on the UFO community committee, please. Tim had this to say about the possibility of Vice President Vance coming to the Senate to enforce a possible filibuster vote.
Thank you so much. Just want to get your thoughts on J.D. Vance going in the Senate to preside over the Senate to actually implement the talking filibuster. Is this a viable path forward to get the Save America Act passed?
Sure, it is. It's a scorched earth deal, though. I mean, because there's no turning back. It totally guts Thune, and who are we going to put in there behind him? That's always what you got to worry about, is who's going to be the number two.
Yeah.
It's not going to be somebody conservatives that votes like you or I would. I can guarantee you, because the Senate will just have their feelings hurt, and that's the way they'll do.
So what's the alternative?
I don't know. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't care. I'm all for it. I'm a scorched earth kind of guy.
I love it.
As we say, this is a scorched earth, ERF.
Okay, so can you talk to J.D. Vance then to get this done?
Maybe I have.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Congressman. Thank you so much.
All right. So the situation is this in terms of legalese. As the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune presides over the Senate. John Thune keeps putting the Senate into pro forma sessions, which is basically one guy stays behind. They keep the Senate in session, so Donald Trump cannot use recess appointments, which every other president has done. Only Trump has been blocked by Thune. And but the fact is that according to the Constitution, the vice president is the president of the Senate. He can come in anytime he wants, slam down the gavel, adjourn the Senate, allow President Trump to appoint every single recess appointment he wants, convene it back in, and force the filibuster. Can he not do this, Brooks? And if this week's rulings, if that isn't a motivation to do it, I don't know what is. Isn't it time to go to war with these bastards?
The fear statement that they always use, but if we do this, then that opens the door for the Democrats to do it. You're a bunch of dumbasses, because that's exactly what the Democrats are going to do as soon as they get the power back in their hands. Do it now and save the Republic.
Blake, are you down for this? I mean, isn't it time to get this judicial process moving? Because there actually are, I believe, enough votes in the Senate to pass the Save America Act. And I think if you added these other two provisions, you could definitely get it through.
Yeah, I mean, this is something worth fighting for however they got to do it. Otherwise, our republic is gone and we'll never vote it back in. So this is the death of our country. It's sickening that these people haven't actually passed this yet, unless they don't care. So they want to bring in the third world that's going to continue to vote for these same, corrupt politicians that we have festering there.
Communists.
We're never going to get rid of them. Yeah, it's all side, but yeah, definitely on the left side more. But they want to replace us and get people that will continue to vote for the establishment, and this is their move. And if we don't do it, let's see what Trump can actually do. Use any resource they can, any loophole they can. I'm down for it. So, however that happens.
Sorry, Deb, on the commercials on YouTube. That's a setting on
Wow.
YouTube. I will have to go back and fix that. So I appreciate that. I'll get that next episode. We'll be good on that. Okay, Steve. Is there any reason why they shouldn't go? I mean, Tim Burchett talked about scorched earth. Well, I'll tell you how. who's the number 2 guy. Just have the vice president sit in on the Senate every single time. What the hell else is he doing? He's the vice president. What is he doing? Cutting a ribbon at a shopping mall? I mean, I realize Vance is a little more active than most vice presidents. But if the Senate won't come, if they won't come to heel, then simply have Vance go in there every single time and take over and remove Thune and then walk him out to the courtyard.
This is typical Republican Party nonsense. Everybody thinks that we have the Republicans and the Democrats. It's a uniparty. The Republicans were always screaming, hey, when we take back control of the Congress, when we take back control of the Senate, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to make all these things, make all these changes and make everything wonderful. Then they take control of everything, including the presidency, and then they go, well, we have to wait till the midterms before we can do anything and make sure that, we're solid and we're locked in to these positions. I mean, it's a joke. And the Republicans have been doing this for the last 20, 25 years. They're going to continue to do it. They're not on our side. They're on their pocketbook side, just like the Democrats, except they're not as vocal about it. All they do is sit around and do nothing.
See, Blake, go ahead, Brooks.
Well, he could always do what President Lincoln did when he had congressmen that wouldn't vote his way. He arrested them.
Yeah, that's what Trump should do. Exactly. And here's the thing, Blake. Here's the thing. I don't agree with you that they don't care, that the Republicans don't care. They do care. They're on the other side. The Republicans and Democrats, the vast majority, are conspiring to destroy the United States of America. This is this is an insurrection. This is sedition, and I think you're giving them way too much credit if you say they just don't care. It's not that. They care, and it's not just about the money, Steve. It's about destroying what's left of the United States, and unfortunately,
and again, it's about the money and about them taking over as dictators.
Yep. And
they don't care what happens to you and me. They don't care what happens to the average United States citizen. The only thing they care about is how many millions of dollars are going to go in their bank account and how much power they wield on an international basis. They do not care about you and me. They do not get elected to take care of us as they're supposed to. They get elected to take care of them and their constituents and the people that are paying money into their bank account.
I don't even think it's that. I don't think it's just. Go ahead, Brett.
Just real quick. 2 of the people that really cared were Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, and we just chased them out of Congress. So those were our guys.
I don't agree they cared.
Those were our fighters. Those were our Save Act fighters. Right.
They're now having.
See, there again, Blake. I mean, you can say what you want about them, and you can feel that way. But both of them took money. I mean, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She came in broke. She left a multimillionaire. Somebody.
She was her family is in the construction business. She had plenty of money.
No.
She did insider trading. Yes.
Look at the record, dude. Look at the record.
I'm not disagreeing that she did insider trading. What I'm saying, she was already had a lot of money before, so it wasn't like she got rich.
So the fact that she stole money from the American people makes it okay.
I'm not. She did insider trading. Probably
that's stealing money.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so did all of them.
If you did that,
if that's the standard, then how much do we get rid of?
They would put you in prison. Okay. If you had insider information and you traded, look at Martha Stewart. They put her in prison for it.
It's a conflict of interest.
They made it legal for themselves to do it. That they did. That's how corrupt Congress is. And I would just like to say today marks day 634. Since Thomas Massey promised he was going to walk to the floor of the United States Congress and read the names on the Epstein list, and he still hasn't done it. He's not doing it. He's part of the grift, part of the scam. Okay, there is one other way that we might get the Save America Act with the birthright citizenship and the one day, one ballot voter ID provisions put in it. And that is if one of the Republicans or more suddenly assume room temperature. Well, on that particular subject, Mitch McConnell went into the hospital a couple of days ago, and there are rumors that he's dead. Let's all keep our fingers crossed. Here's a 911 call.
Response unconscious, 217 C3, no C, yes in Charlie. Medical local paramedic agent 3, medic 3, ALS response unconscious. 217 C Street, no CCS in Charlie, close of 2nd Street and Charlie 11, 836. ALS response unconscious. 217 C.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't understand a word of that. Did you guys understand that?
Without the subtitles, I'd be lost. But I did hear it.
I don't even know what language that was.
He's
I thought that was going
unresponsive.
to be.
But
Okay.
the scary thing is we have a Democrat governor of Kentucky, and he could appoint someone to take Mitch McConnell's place and continue his voting record.
Well, that is true. So let's kill the governor of Kentucky too. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just a joke. Just a little political power joke there. So is there, how do we have, Kentucky is one of the most Republican states in the union. So
It's
again,
true.
there's another case of voter fraud.
It's a teachers union. The teachers union is the one that controls the office of the governor in the state of Kentucky. Totally communist organization.
So what happened this week is really interesting to former, I don't know what secretary he was. He was secretary of something. Pete Buttplug, former secretary of, I don't know, whatever.
Transportation.
Transportation. Went on the internet a couple days ago and claimed that he had been swatted. He claimed that CPS showed up at his house and tried to take his kids away because he was swatted by some evil conservative. Well, right away, the story began to fall apart because questions emerge about Pete Buttplug's story of being swatted and separated from his children by Child Protective Services. So Pete Buttplug's harrowing swatting story from last week is now coming under scrutiny, suggesting he may not be telling the truth. As the Gateway pundit's Jordan Conradson reported, Buttplug claims he was swatted this week by CPS agents and separated from his 4-year-old twins. He ran to Substack, which is a paid service, by the way, to write a column about the incident, and he described himself as bewildered and troubled. He said that the CPS worker told me something that made my stomach turn. I was not to be alone around the children, at least until the interview took place the next day. After a sleepless night, the officers told him that an anonymous tipster told police that he had spoken to a woman. She said that Buttplug had committed unspeakable violent crimes, and the caller believed my children were still at risk. After the officer spoke, the CPS worker likewise indicated she had not found anything to substantiate the allegation, though her process would take a bit longer to be formally completed. I no longer needed to avoid being around my children unsupervised. Chasten was invited to come back downstairs and hear the same information had just been shared with me. Then, per standard procedure, she verified that there was an adequate food in her kitchen and asked to take a look at the kid's bedroom. But questions are emerging that suggests Buttplug may have been embellishing at least part of his story, especially the part about CPS separating the kids from his children. Here's a guy named Zach. He said, Buttplug is lying. I deal with these kinds of cases all the time. CPS does not separate you from your kids over an anonymous, unsubstantiated accusation. Something serious was reported, and there was corroboration for it to have gotten this far. Do not let him pretend he's being swatted. Another guy says Buttplug was weird around my kids when he and Chasten were our next door neighbors, but whatever. Odds he hired someone to plant a false report to gin up sympathy on a campaign trail story are fairly high. Kurt Schlichter then jumped in and said, still wondering what the allegations of the CPS call about Pete Buttplug were. Why do we have to default to not believing them? I mean, there can only be one rule, and I just want to know what that one rule is. It's the one rule that will apply to Republicans and democracy. What were the allegations, and where did the police come in? I'm told it was CPS. Seems like the media should clear all this up. He claimed CPS made it so his kids, he couldn't see his kids until they were questioned the next day based on a single report. That's bullshit. Other people are saying there had to be multiple reports. Mayor Pete another post, Mayor Pete Buttplug is lying. I'd bet $100 on it. First of all, calling what happened to you like being swatted is insane. CPS interviewing your kids isn't the same as people who've been murdered and their families traumatized by SWAT because the SWAT tore down every door. That's true. Swatting is very dangerous. So it appears there's something seriously wrong in Pete Buttplugville. Blake, what do you think about this story? It's fishy, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems bizarre that a major public figure would be, swatted by CPS over just one thing. We still can't go over after Mayorkas. There's so many other people that deserve. Perhaps we had John Bolton. There's a lot of people to go after, so I would have to think that there's something here. Not that I trust CPS, but it's interesting that I guess Pete Buttplug, his mentor, one of his good friends, was former Mayor Patrick Wojahn from Maryland, who was a mayor, and he was sentenced to 30 years recently in 2023 for possessing and distributing child pornography.
Child porn.
Yeah, so if that's one of your good friends or your mentor, and then you're adopting kids, I don't have anything against homosexuals. I tried at one point to think, oh, Mickey, maybe they can adopt kids. I don't know if that's such a great idea, but there have been a lot of these gay men that have been guilty of abusing kids. Just like they have no maternal connection. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're pervy. Something is odd, and we have to reevaluate that. And certainly, yeah, Pete needs to be investigated. If he's innocent, then there should be nothing there. But is something sinister that looks like that could be happening. And it's time to save these kids before any more harm comes to them, if that's what's happening.
Steve Doran, should gay male couples be allowed to adopt children, and especially should they be allowed to adopt male children or not? I think no.
Absolutely not. They shouldn't be allowed to adopt any children. It is it's not good for the child. They do not have what it takes to appropriately raise a child. We've seen it thousands of times where gay parents have abused the children that they have adopted. In this guy's case, it's total baloney. Nobody, as a police officer, I went to a lot of different scenes where CPS was going in to investigate an issue that occurred. It never happens on one anonymous calls. There has to be multiple complaints with evidence before the child is taken. They don't just walk in and take the child. And it's somebody in his position who's all lawyered up and has, lawyers coming out of his nose would never stand for it. They just say, hey, do you have a warrant? Why are you here? You need to deal through my attorney. So obviously he got caught red-handed with something where he had no choice but to relinquish the children to CPS, because most people, like I said, if it was a false complaint or CPS was being picky, unless they were poor and really didn't understand the law, would be like, you're not taking my kids. You have no warrant. Go get a court order. I'm not saying another word. And I'm going to speak only through my attorney. Someone, like I said, of his status would know that. So if they took his kids, something is really, really, really wrong.
Yeah, and I think we can all figure out what that something is. Brooks, what are your thoughts on this?
This whole thing stinks like a used anal dildo. What we're talking about here, the proof that they have, and the neighbors and the reports, have to do with pictures. Pictures of the boys nude in various positions, shared with friends. That's what it boils down to. These guys are sick, and you can't get over the illness. They can't resist. They have two boys that are in their possession. They're both gay. I don't know which one's the pitcher and which one's the catcher, but eventually the kids get involved in this. Nude pictures end up being shared with friends. That's how it works.
Yeah, what always gets me is when these gay couples adopt children. It's always boys. Elton John and his husband, two boys. Like, you think nothing inappropriate's going on there? I don't trust them.
Right.
And it should be a priority. And I think we should make a federal law that you cannot adopt a child, that heterosexual couples get the priority in adoption at all times. Always. And look, there's going to be some terrible heterosexual couples too that are going to do terrible things to their kids. But look, I think the odds, and I don't care what anybody thinks about this, the odds of a homosexual couple abusing their 2 male children are way higher than those 2.
One of these days, the boys will talk.
Yep.
The boys will talk eventually, and that's when the horror stories begin.
Well, I don't know. It's these issues we talked about tonight are show you how fucked up the Republic has become.
We all got angry about Biden showering with his preteen daughter.
Yeah.
And her comments in her diary about how she hated, she would wait until he was asleep before she got in the shower.
Yeah.
And then he would get up, come, strip down naked and get in the shower with her. She was 12, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
that was a man with a young girl. When that happens with boys and men, it's sick.
It's sick period. So, all right. One last thing is, if you're feeling a little bit old, America is going to turn 250 years old on Saturday. Let me show you a picture of somebody who has lived through not 1/3, but about 24-25% of that. Dick Van Dyke is 100 years old.
Yeah.
He goes to the gym, and the guy who's with him, he's the guy who got killed in the first 5 minutes of Battlestar Galactica. That's Rick Springfield. He's 76. Okay. You got a 100-year-old guy and a 76-year-old guy still going to the gym. It's amazing. Congratulations to both guys. And Rick Springfield, I saw some videos of him recently on tour with Sammy Hagar. And he still moves around like he did when he was 35 or 40. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing what sex, drugs, and rock and roll will do for you.
Yeah.
Mike, you're starting to sound gay. You're giving this guy like way too much.
Congratulations to not only Rick Springfield for still being on tour at 76 and making it rock, but Dick Van Dyke for making it to 100 years.
Why did you make it a fist with a glove on? I don't know. That's just weird.
Let's quit talking about how he moves around on stage and wiggles his butt. I mean, nobody really gives a shit.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up. There were other issues we could have talked about today, but we did not. So thank you for being here. Appreciate each and every one of you. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific with Susan for, Tell the Truth Wednesday. And we'll be giving away on a raffle for a $10 super chat, $10, you will get a 30-minute free reading. Well, it's a $10 reading, but a 30-minute reading with the incredible Susan Gratz, who I highly recommend.
Great show. I love the show. I watch it all the time.
It's been great, and we're doing really well. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, super chat, Rumble Rant. Give us a little help here. Give us a little help. We appreciate it. Buy our stuff. Go get your Mushroom Lady stuff. Link in the description to all this.
Wait a minute. Before we end the show, wasn't Mike supposed to go somewhere and get us something and mail it to us? On the last show, didn't he say he was going somewhere? Didn't tell us where he was going and said he was going to mail us something.
No, I never said that.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. You were going to go somewhere and meet with somebody, and you were going to get us something and mail it to us.
You are confused, Steve.
No. It was like Hecklefish or something. We were supposed to get Hecklefish.
I was supposed to get you guys bottles of Crab Cat whiskey. I had lunch with Victoria from the Y-Files, the producer lady who I dearly love, and I completely forgot to ask about the Crab Cat.
And we got nothing.
But I will get it. I will get it. I promise. I will get 4 bottles of Crab Cat whiskey for Christmas, among other things. So hang in there.
Do we get a Hecklefish?
No, you don't get my Hecklefish. That's
I mean, I make my own whiskey, so I'd rather have Hecklefish than
no. He says fun stuff, but
hey, happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So we will be post 4th of July. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what kind of a week it's going to be. I wish I was more positive about the State of the Union on our 250th birthday, but it's kind of in a state of catastrophe right now. And I don't know what we're going to do about it. I don't know how we're going to fix it. And I'm pretty pessimistic. Anybody else have a different thought before we head out for
Close the Canadian
that's why I live
border.
on an island in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because
All
whatever
right.
happens in the rest of the world doesn't affect me.
Unless you get nuked, but yeah. All right.
Unless
Peace,
I
live
get
long, and
nuked. Is that
prosper.
what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh, unless we get nuked.
Nuked. All right. Peace, live long, and prosper. Everyone have a good week. Have a great 4th of July. I'm going to Red Rocks Casino for their wonderful fireworks show on Saturday. Have a great one. And then probably hit Sam's Cabaret after that.
Are you doing another Cooking with Mike segment for 4th of July?
I may, but no, I wouldn't, because I'd be doing the same thing. I'd just be making my mom's macaroni salad. So no, but I already did that. So, all right, you guys hang in there. Have a great week. Let's hope things get better this week. Let's hope Donald Trump pulls out the red folder, invokes the Insurrection Act, and starts arresting these people. That's the only thing. That's what I would like to be celebrating. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.